Hey everyone, my name is Bruno and welcome to another Nightreign video. This time I'm taking on the challenge of doing a fist weapon only run using Raider. And we're taking on the Libra night boss, which is one of the hardest ones. And well, let's just dive into it and see if we can do it. So as always, sit tight and enjoy the video. So welcome to day 1, we're playing as Raider, and as you can see we've got the Rotted Woods Shifting Earth event. So let's get this show on the road. We start by dropping here and I immediately get rid of my weapon. We're doing fists only, and then we start by clearing this camp. On screen you can already see the relics that we used for this specific run, starting with the Block Claw necklace, which is a Raider specific relic which you unlock by completing Raider's questline, and this one really just buffs up your damage near the totem stele, which is your ultimate, and defeating enemies will feel more of this ultimate and you have more poise, so it's just an all around very good relic for Raider. Then we have the Torn Braided Cord, which again is a Remembrance questline relic for the Raider. You grabbed this one earlier on, but what it does, it converts the damage taken using your character skill, which is your punch, into attack power and stamina, and then just have more strength, because fist weapons usually scale with strength. And then finally we just have this Grand Burning Scene, and we just take it for the improved fist attack power and the health, which is always nice. So here, after clearing the first camp, I actually go straight into the cathedral. I should have leveled up here, but we're still like using our bare fists, so it wouldn't have made that much of a difference. The Fire Monk is not that hard, but well, since we have almost no damage, we really need to use our skills so we have any good damage and clear time. So here I go for my ult, big chunk of damage, and we actually are inside of the totem stela. And this happens when you use your ult inside a location where the ceiling is too low. You'll just clip inside the totem. So here, I can take any of these weapons. And that's actually because the claw weapons are a claw weapon type class and not fist weapons, even though they, well, you use them in your fists. They're considered claw weapons, so they're not viable and not legal per se for this specific challenge. So then I notice a church, so we just rush there. So now I'm just looking at my surroundings and I spot a second great church, which we'll take on, because if it doesn't have any element attached to it, it means it's the golem one. And since fists are impact weapons, even bare fists, we should be doing an okay damage to this golem. And now we actually get our first fist weapon of the game, which is the Iron Balls. And spoiler alert, is going to be the only one, because this weapon is crazy good. So pretty much what this weapon does is you just have two big balls on your hands, one in each, and then you can just dish ridiculous amounts of damage. It's one of the best weapons in the game. It was already broken in base Elden Ring, and here is no different, and you'll see the impact it has, especially when we take on the night boss. It's going to be crazy. And now we're going to fight our first ever jail with a stone sword key that we just picked up in the Great Church. And it's a Grave Warden Duelist, and from this fight you can already start to see the power of these iron balls. They just do so much stagger damage, it's crazy, and we just, well, finish him off. It's one of the easiest fights that you can get in Everjails, but still, it's an omen for what's to come in terms of what the fights are going to look like using these iron balls. So now I know that the likelihood of getting another fist weapon in this run is very, very low, because there are not that many fist weapons in Elden Ring Nightreign, so I'm taking no chances. We got our breadwinner, so I'm just going to go to this mine and get ourselves our smithing 2, so that we can upgrade our balls even further and deal even more damage. This mine variation has the pumpkin head, which is just a very easy enemy, just don't hit him in the head. Sometimes you really want to just unlock your camera to make sure that your swings target its body, which is its weak part. And also, I don't know if you knew this, but the Pumpkin's Head helmet is droppable in base Elden Ring, and you can use it, and it's one of the strongest yet heaviest pieces of equipment that you can attain in the base game, which is just pretty funny. And now we're actually going to fight a day 2 boss right off the bat, Royal Revenant, and just take a look at the damage. It's just great. We're going for the ult, and now we're buffed up. And it just deals so much damage. And we stagger it. Big riposte. And yeah, again, this is a day 2 boss, so we shouldn't even be fighting it yet. But we're so strong already because of the balls. And then just a big character skill on top. And you can tell it's a day 2 boss because as soon as we defeat it, you'll see the prompt "Great enemy fell" and not just "enemy fell." And from this we just pick up the passive. It's not fantastic. But then this grants us level 6, which is great. Since we took a little bit of time in the beginning, since we are playing with just our bare fists, the circle closed in an unfortunate position, so we're just going to use our remaining time to farm as much as we can, and then on day 2 we're going to really focus both on the castle and in the Shifting Earth event, which you should always do. However, the ideal path here would be to focus on the castle day 1, and then focus on the Shifting Earth event exclusively on day 2. So you're just going to kill this Elder Lion. You shouldn't have any troubles with this. It's really... damage is just pouring out, and you can already see the difference between a day 1 boss damage and day 2 boss, because this one is a day 1 boss and we're dealing so much damage. And actually, he went to sleep because these specific balls have a sleep proc. They have a sleep passive onto them. It's not the most useful thing, and it won't come again, I think, later in the run, but still it's a nice to have. Then we just go and grab the maximum HP, and we going to upgrade our balls +1. So our balls are fully upgraded, and we're just dealing insane amounts of damage. Now we just want to focus on getting stuff that we might use. Here we go for the fire grease, which we can apply on the balls, which will further boost our damage, and which we couldn't do if we weren't using any type of weapon. Since I dropped in this part of the map, my clear options are pretty limited right now, so I opt to go back to that Ancestor Spirit, and we're going to try to fight it. It's a day 2 boss, and it's a very hard one because of our limited reach, but we're still going to give our best shot. Unfortunately, we get a death here, which is quite a sad setback, to be honest. However, we're still not giving up on this boss, and since the circle is closing, we're heading towards the tree, but on day 2 we'll surely finish off this Ancestor Spirit. I just spot this sleep location, so I'm just going to clear. It's a rune bear. It's not a very hard one, and with the balls we do ungodly amounts of poise damage, so we actually get sleep procced ourselves here, which is kind of sad, but so did the bear, so it was kind of a stalemate. Just charging those R2s and he gets down again. It's just crazy good, and I'm just prioritizing just those, chaining those R2s. Just charged R2s are so good. Using our character skill, just making sure that we're topped up since we're already fighting inside the storm, and it can drain our health very fast. And there we go. Here I go for the improved flask HP restoration. So that's the second one we pick up, so we have a 40% increase in flask restoration, so which means that one flask is pretty much guaranteed to put us at full HP whenever we drink it or close to it, which is very good. When I see the little hands, I know that it's probably going to be Centipede Demon, and these hands have a special weakness to fire, so I decide to put on my fire grease, and start hacking away. They do this animation where they kind of scramble around and they ignite with fire. So if you have a fire weapon, it's ideal against these types of mobs. And now comes the main course. It is Centipede Demon, of course, and just take a look at this damage. 2 charged R2s and his tail is already off, and we're just blasting away, punching it. We actually missed the punch on the main boss, and we just hit the tail, but that's okay. We still have plenty of damage. We use our ult, and we continue just attacking. Actually get hit here, but it's not that big of a deal. You just heal to full, and now we procced a stagger. So, and this is something you can actually do, which is when you see an enemy getting staggered like that and you have a window to riposte, you don't need to riposte right away. Usually, and this varies from enemy to enemy, but they'll have like a recovery animation that's quite long, and so you can still deal some damage before you do the riposte, just to maximize the amount of damage you're dealing. Here I went for improved dodging. That's a no-brainer really. Should really take that one over anything else unless you're playing a tank character like Guardian. But if you're going to dodge, just take improved dodging. It's so good. Here we found the Kindred of Rot's Exaltation. It's not going to come up, but it's better than nothing. So as per usual, we start running into the storm as soon as day 2 begins, just to maximize our time and to get more bang for our buck in terms of clears. My game plan for day 2 is very simple. We're going to run up to this tree so we can get a lift off to the bird, and we can get back our runes and finish off the Ancestor Spirit, and then we're just going to go south to clear the castle as much as we can, and then we're going to grab the church that's underneath it, and then finally we're going to go into the Shifting Earth event and just clear as many bosses as we can there, plus getting the passive that you get when you clear a Shifting Earth location. In this case, it's a very useful one because it allows you to rally, to access the rally system, which is something that we'll discuss later when we get there. We finally get rid of the Ancestor Spirit. In retrospect, it maybe wasn't that worth because we wasted a lot of time here, but still. And now I make a grave mistake, which is I go for the passive because the weapons weren't good, and the passive is a bad one. It's gradual restoration of HP when using a flask, something you never want to take. This was a mistake. It didn't cost me the run, but it certainly caused, and you'll see that in a second, a few tense moments, so just don't take that. Here I go for the Callian Filigree Crest. Really, you don't really need to grab it. It's just in case we got some better fist weapons, which we don't, and probably it wasn't likely. But just in case, it doesn't wait on anything on you, and you can just take it for free, so why not? Here I go check the castle. The castle is Banished Knights, so I just try to clear them a little bit, but it's really not worth for us to be hanging around a lot. Just use my ult here just to spread them apart and to be able to dispatch them separately. And then we're just going to farm a little bit here. Here I go for a reduced FP consumption, and I just killed the main enemies, which are the ones that give the most runes. And 2 R2s, 2 charged R2s are guaranteed to stagger these Banished Knights. It's just crazy good. And since you have a lot of poise, since you're playing as Raider, you'll also won't have any troubles in chaining these 2 attacks together. So it's pretty much you can guarantee a poise break and a riposte each time you use charged R2s. It's just crazy good. Here I'm evaluating my choices. I decide just ending up going for the lion that's in the courtyard. If you have the Banished Knight variation of the castle, there's always going to be a lion in the courtyard, and this one is guaranteed to drop a passive item, so always go for it. And we're pretty much just going to even ignore the other Banished Knights. We're just here for the passive. We're under a time constraint, so we just want to make this fast and efficient. And you can already see like the debilitating effects of the gradual HP restoration. Here we go for improved stamina recovery. It's always good, regardless of what class you're playing. So that's the two things that are really good, which is HP and just stamina regen. You just want those like every single time. Then I know that this one specifically, and that is because it has its eyes are red, they drop a passive as well. So if you're having trouble in distinguishing which of the enemies is worth killing, just look at its size. If it's red, it drops a passive. So I just go for this one. All resistance up. It's actually amazing for Libra because of the madness buildup. And then we're just going to check the basement boss. If it's the Elemer of the Briar or the Bell-bearing Hunter, just going to turn back. But it's actually one of the easiest ones, which is Leonine Misbegotten. So we're just going to, well, punch him. And the character skill is so strong that you can actually knock him out of his feet when you're using it, even if it's not charged. And you can talk a little bit about how these abilities are charged. But yeah, just take a look at this damage. It's just amazing. You actually get a sleep proc, so sleep ends up being somewhat useful, which is something, well, it's not very common. Here I end up being greedy, and I forgot that my HP restoration was gradual, so we take a death. But it's no biggie. We spawn right outside, and we have just a very weak Leonine Misbegotten just in one-shot range, ready to give us our reward. So there we go. So I go for the passive. It's really useless, but it's better than the other alternatives, so why not? Then we go for the chest that's at the top of the basement here, which is always guaranteed to drop you a selection of 1 to 3 talismans. I go here for the Viridian Amber Medallion, which is just maximum stamina, which is, well, it's just nice. Nice stats. Flat stats and percentual stats are nice to have, always. So here we're sticking to our game plan. We're going directly into the church to get another flask, and we're going to ignore the third church and then run straight into the Rotted Woods to get our Shifting Earth event going. I spotted this Black Knight Assassin, and I know it's a very weak enemy, so I decided to take him on, but this was actually another big mistake of the run, because even though we can deal a lot of damage, he's very nimble and is somewhat hard to hit, so we end up losing more time than I'd like here, and it ends up not being that that useful. And that's also because, if you can already see from the fight itself, when you start charging up an attack, his AI just tends to jump away, and this can be very annoying and just makes us waste a lot of time. But still, this was more of an honor feud at this point, so I just had to take him out. It was a matter of pride, but it wasn't worth it at all. And from here we get the increased maximum stamina plus 10%, which is actually a great passive to have. So even though we lost a lot of time here, at least the passive was good, so at least we got that. It wasn't all bad. So then we rush straight into the Shifting Earth event, which is the Rotted Woods. And the way this Shifting Earth event works is that there's a area of the map, it's always the bottom right corner of the map, that's infested with rot. And so as soon as you walk in, you'll start to see a rot proc tick up in your character. And so what you have to do to solve this Shifting Earth event is go to the flag that's on your map, and then you'll have a location marked, an additional location, because it usually marks a castle that's in the middle, which has the coordinates to the real source of the rot, which will then be marked on your map. Then you go to the second location, which is usually a tree, and if you interact with it, you'll get the power gained message, and you'll get the Shifting Earth event passive, which in this case is the rally system. The rally system, for those who don't know, is something that we've seen in previous games like Bloodborne, in which when you suffer damage, instead of just taking the damage, you have this grayish health bar effect, in which if you deal damage to the enemy, you can heal back up to the amount of that gray health. It's a great system to stay aggressive, and it's a great system to use on characters that are always on the offensive and that are deep within the fight itself. I'm talking about Raider, Wilder, Guardian, just characters that are in the eye of the storm per se. They benefit greatly from this rally system, and it's just a great rally system to have. And plus, it also makes it so you're immune to rot, which is also great. But yeah, that's what it does. So here we finally find our way into the castle, and we have a normal boss of the castle here. We just take him on because it's just one more passive, one more free passive, because this guy is already, well, too weak for us, so we can just dispatch him very quickly. He doesn't drop anything useful, it doesn't matter. We just go here, then we get the coordinates for the Rotted Woods Blessing, and then we need to go there. Since this area is heavily filled with bosses, I recommend you do these bosses. These bosses can be quite complicated and tough to deal with, but it's very, very worth it because the rewards are usually very, very good. It's actually a bell-bearing hunter, but you know what? I decided to take him on, and you can already see like the difference in damage. We almost deal no damage compared with other bosses, but still, I was tempted to take him on just because of the amount of stagger damage that we have. He might have a big health pool, but he has the same old poise that he has like in every version, so we can just make sure he staggers a lot. And you actually get a sleep proc and then a stagger, which is kind of crazy. He almost does not move just out of the raw poise damage that we're dealing. And we can counter with our fists. And then our ult. He doesn't stagger, but it really doesn't matter. The gradual HP is really hurting me, but it doesn't matter because we got another one and just, well, just made for a very easy and I'd argue even fast fight given the type of enemy we were up against. From this I just go for this one. It really won't come up ever, but it's just a passive. It's great if you're using like rapiers or any other sort of thrusting damage, and also bows. If you guys didn't know, bow damage is thrusting damage, so anything that will improve your thrust damage will also improve your bow damage, so just take it. Here we find the source of the rot, we cleanse ourselves, and now we have the rally system available. And from these enemies I can already tell that we're going to fight a Deathrite bird. If you see these skeletons, if it's on day 1 it's going to be a Tibia Mariner, if it's on day 2 then the boss is going to be a Deathrite bird. And usually I really dislike this boss, but since we have this specific build of the fists, it's just so strong that it won't even be a problem, as you'll see next. So here is the bird, just take a look at the damage, it's just so good. And 4 charged R2s, a guaranteed stagger. It's just so good. And these come out very, very fast. It's already going to phase 2. And he didn't even do anything else yet, so it's so good. You get in close and get a few more. Going for the grab, he missed. And you can already see the rally system in play. I'm recovering some of the health, and then instead of riposting, I'm just taking him out. At this point, it's faster, even though we're not under a time constraint anymore. So here I just go for stance breaking. I think it's a no-brainer because our poise damage in this build, I'd like to think of this build specifically as a control build more than a damage build itself, and that is because you're not just focused about the damage that you're dealing, even though you're dealing, well, heavy damage, not the heaviest damage, but you're dealing heavy damage, but just the way you can control the fight, because you'll always be staggering the boss, so it's just a control style of gameplay. Here I tried to go to fight the bosses after day 2, but it turns out that the bosses that spawn on the map actually vanish after day 2 is finished, and this is probably just a balancing feature of the game, just to make sure that you don't abuse the fact that you can die multiple times after day 2 closes to just farm infinitely. So here I just go for a Scarab to see if we get something better. It is a Crucible Feather Talisman, which pretty much gives us more iframes at a cost of receiving 10% more damage. I think about it for a while, but I ultimately end up taking it, just because the other slot wasn't doing anything, and at least here we have better rolls, which is always nice. And we're finally in day 3. I quickly go to the merchant to get the Winding Grace, which you should always purchase because it gives you a free revive. Then I upgrade to level 14, and then I actually end up going with the Boiled Crab for my remaining runes. Since we had so much damage going into this day, I really am focusing on just staying alive into the Libra fight, because he can deal some very, very heavy damage, and well, we're sure to tank some of it. So physical damage negation is always a nice to have. Well, I sit on this for a little while, but I refuse to make a deal. These are almost never worth it, and I decide not to. And I start by applying the Rot Grease that we got earlier, and start hitting those Charge R2s on Libra. The damage is not as good as I wanted to, but it really doesn't matter, because as I said, we're playing like a control build, where we're focusing on the staggers themselves. And we already have our first stagger and a Rot proc, so it's, as you can see, it really piles up fast after you break him. So it's just what we're going for. If he does that thing with the hand, it's going to appear below you, so just dodge that. So on this health threshold, he starts going into his second phase, but I immediately cancel him as soon as I see him do it, so he doesn't even have the time to put the sigils up, and that's something we really want to do, and it's especially easy on Raider, because you have 2 interrupts instead of 1, and they come in the form of your character skill and your ultimate. Both can cancel him out of any attack, which you should definitely use. Just be mindful that your character skill will only interrupt him if it's fully charged, and you can see if it's fully charged if your character is steaming, or if you see the item glowing on the bottom of the screen. We have here our second poise break, and I just hit him, give him a few taps before going to the riposte. He's already at less than half HP, so yeah. When he does that, I just go away. It's really not worth for me to fight through the madness, and he goes for the second time, so this time I cancel with my ult, and he doesn't have the time to buff up, so I don't even need to interact with the sigils. I can just interrupt him out of the animation. This can be done, of course, with any character that can interrupt, for example, Wilder with its ult, or Guardian with its ult as well, or even Aranai with its ult. A lot of ults have this interrupt property. Raider is just special because he can interrupt twice, because his character skill also has that property if it's fully charged. Here actually, if I do a jumping R2, I can get both hitboxes to hit. And well, that's the third one, and he's almost dead. Just take a look at the damage. It's ridiculous. He barely did anything of note. When he was about to, we just cancelled him. He goes again for it for the third time, but I interrupt him with the character skill just to take a good punch in the buttock, and well, we're almost done. He actually scares me a little bit for a while because he's going on this frenzy, but we just regain our footing and reset, and then we can finish him off. One final punch, and he's gone. So yeah, another challenge completed. This was a fist weapon only run. Let me know in the comments, guys, which other challenges you want to see me do next, or which character would you like to see a guide on. My name is Bruno and I hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to like and subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.